Woo! What's up, y'all? It's your boy Carcino here. Let's get into it. I know I've been doing a lot of business today, a lot of ripping and running, a lot of personal stuff I had to get taken care of. So now I'm going to get y'all caught up to speed with what's going on here. The video I couldn't make because all the doggone Drake news kept coming out and it kept throwing everything back off. We couldn't really get into the boxing thing with Canelo and Edgar Berlanga and what's been going on there. Well, it's a lot. Let me tell you that. Now, the fact that you're looking at this fight that came out of basically nowhere, right? And when you see the fight that came out of nowhere, and when you see that happen, and you start saying to yourself, oh, I'm better than this dude, I'm better than that dude. And it's like, okay, well, if you're better than all these guys, then, what's the main spot here? Everyone feels he's running from David Benavidez. I'm not mad at him not fighting David Benavidez because it doesn't really make sense to us because we don't care. We understand there's bigger fights out there. David Benavidez, to me, hadn't fought anybody to deserve it. He fought Caleb Plant, and that's it. Who did he beat to deserve the shot? And they said, well, he beat in his last fight, before this previous one when he fought nobody, he fought Andrade, or Demetrius Andre, rather. And Demetrius Andre is not one, he's not at that weight class. He's a 154 fighter. So for him to fight at that weight class, he's another guy that's been inconsistent at the weight class. So it just didn't make a lot of sense. And the fact that you have countless people, and I do mean countless of them, keep making excuses for the said situations that you see developing. Now, here's the narrative. When you see a situation that go left or go in a certain narrative with boxing, it's mostly theatrics and casuals that comes in and don't understand the business of it and don't understand how it was supposed to go. I saw, for the life of me, everybody turn on a fighter who was giving them fights. And at first Canelo was taking all of these fights, like he was fighting 3 times a year. So it was just basically training, training, and training. And he did that for like 2 years straight. Then he fought Demetrius Bivol. And I'm just like, my goodness, this dude fought Caleb Plant. He fought Rocky. I'm like, dude, and he's a little guy at this weight class. So when he's there doing these events and doing these different fights, everybody's looking at this and taking it from a whole different perspective. Yeah, it goes in different like waves. People see it and some people ignore it. I see it for what it is. when you see Canelo Alvarez and the decisions he's been making lately, it's been all financial, and well, when you look at Canelo and what he was trying to get done on this fight on September the 14th, it's clear. It is absolutely clear. It is completely clear. Trust me that in this game, Canelo has changed. No doubt about it. He's completely changed. He's more arrogant. Absolutely. He's definitely more hands on with the business side of boxing. So he's basically become a Mexican Floyd Mayweather, which is going to rub the fans the wrong way when you're looked at to be the baby face. So anyway, you got Rolly Romero and Danny Garcia on the undercard. Danny Garcia is going to be rooting for Berlanga, of course. But Danny Garcia is another undersized fighter going up to 154, and he's going to be going up against Arislandi Laura, who's a slick boxer at 54. Danny's a 140-pound fighter. He has some boxing ability, but it's an interesting bout. But I just think Danny Garcia is out of his weight class, completely out of his weight class. He can't make 140. His power doesn't resonate at 47. It damn sure ain't going to resonate at 54. And Laura, even old, can control him with the jab. So it's going to be an interesting fight. Um, it's a lot of people that don't see it in the way that other people are going to score it. I mean, Danny Garcia lost to Errol Spence Jr. That was pretty much his last loss. And since then, that I can recall, but he hasn't been relevant since then. And they just been keeping Danny Garcia around. But he's a great human being. I want to see the kid do well. His father Angel used to sell his fights just by being vocal. But they're on the undercard, so they're making it, what it is. Then you have Rolly. Like, how is Rolly on pay per view cards? It's like, it doesn't even make sense. This dude has lost basically 4 fights in a row, seem like. And he got a decision against a guy he totally was getting whooped by. And he just keeps putting him on pay per view cards. It's like he's just destroyed in his last fight with Cruz. He was destroyed by Tank Davis. Why is Rolly even being put back in the ring? He has zero defense, no chin, Hell, I just might bet, and I don't even know the guy he's fighting. I'm like, who the hell is that? I didn't even know he was a fighter. And I'm just like, I'm betting on that guy. Just because they're trying to set Rolly up to look good and score a big knockout over somebody. And they just dug this guy up. And I'm going to bet on that guy anyway. Because I don't trust Rolly in no situations. They want to set him up to be food for somebody at the weight class and in the division. They was like, oh, Rolly can talk. Yeah, well, you got to have to fight too. Well, here's the thing. Either barbecue or mildew. Good luck to Benavidez trying to find someone to fight at the weight class. I mean, if you're not going to fight the winner of Bivol or whatever, then I don't know what to tell you. Canelo fought Bivol, why don't you fight Bivol? Let's see what happens. But he don't want to do that. He just wants everybody to say he's being ducked. When there's nothing in it really for Canelo to fight him except for just saying, okay. Now, well, here's the thing. This is a money fight for Canelo that's not going to make any money. He's thinking, I need a Puerto Rican fighter. So let's take Edgar Berlanga, a guy that Canelo's going to knock out in probably 7 to 8 rounds. Edgar Berlanga, let me tell you about him. His father enlisted in the Marines with my father, my stepfather. They both enlisted into the Marines, and they both enlisted in the Marines, and they were stationed together and everything. So that's like somebody that's a friend to them. But do I think that's going to help Edgar Berlanga in this fight? No. Edgar Berlanga is going to be knocked out. And he's a bit chinny. Um, he makes a lot of mistakes. Defense is not his forte. He sticks his head out, does not chuck his chin enough. Susceptible to right hands. Like, I don't know what else to say. He gets hit by Canelo, he's going to be knocked out. This fight will end in a knockout. Yes, he's bigger than Canelo. So he's going to go through a fat camp and lose some weight, get himself in shape, and get himself knocked out with a right hand in probably round 6 or 7. So it's going to be a short night for Canelo. And that is that. I'm saying 6 rounds. Knockout in 6. Now, when you hear Berlanga talks, it's the moment. He's talking because he's nervous. He's never been in a fight like this. Now, this doesn't go along with Canelo saying that, by him not fighting Benavidez and taking on Edgar Berlanga, Canelo knows his own vulnerability in the situation with fighting um, Benavidez. He knows that that guy is about a 200 pounds. And after fighting Bivol, the realization hit Canelo. Hey, these guys are too big. And I'm not going to lose to another Mexican fighter, make him a star. Because he beat me, not with his skill, but the fact that he's just a big dude. He's a 200-pound guy. And I'm a little guy. So why I'm going to do that and make this guy a whole bunch of money and ruin what I got going on with my endorsements, my sponsorships, and everything else. The people are begging for it. Well, let them beg for it for a couple more years. Let me get these bags. And then at the end of it, if we still there, hell, I'll cash out. So that's how he's looking at it. But this is an easy fight for Canelo. This is an easy night for him. Edgar Berlanga is going to be an easy knockout for him. I say 6 rounds. I don't see him lasting more than 6. If he goes past 6 rounds, that is an accomplishment for him. Now, taking on Berlanga, what he needs to do, they've already setting up Berlanga's next fight, which is Caleb Plant. When he loses, Caleb Plant will be his bounce back fight. They've already setting him up for his 2-fight departure. Here it is. You get in here, this is what it is. Because you could set traps and feints for Berlanga and he bites. Because he's offense, offense, offense. He thought about offense, did not think about defense, and he thinks about landing his right hand. And once he does that, his left hand is low, chin is high. It's just too many mistakes, and you dealing with a guy that's been dropped in sparring plenty of times. Now, in this need, he created a different type of situation. Canelo Alvarez, because of what happened with the Terrence Crawford fight, Terrence Crawford was supposed to fight Canelo Alvarez, which mostly now would probably be Victor Ortiz getting the fight if he wants it at 154. Right. The Turki Alalshikh, who's got all this money, has basically bought up Golden Boy and Top Rank. And they'll be handling basically the financing for the fight and taking the fighters he like and making fights with him. And the Turki Alalshikh is loving it. So Oscar De La Hoya is like, great. If this man's got the money, I got the time. So he was going to offer Canelo money and basically buy his services. Then Canelo's like, well, I'll fight Crawford. It's an easy fight for me. But I want, and he's like, if he doesn't take this money, he would be a fool. So he offered him $150 million guaranteed dollars for the fight. $150 million guaranteed. Canelo says he wants 200. And it's just like, well, let's talk after. Let's talk after my fight, and then we'll sit down and do it. And he didn't like the way the Turk was talking to him. As if, like, you guys gotta wait. Oh, he was pissed. He did not like that one bit. So the fact that he talked to him in that way, it went left from the jump. And Canelo, in his arrogance, He's a fighter too. You know, his ears are gonna go up, and it's just gonna be a big fallout from all of it. Like it just went completely left. And now he's telling Canelo is like he needs to be careful with who he's talking to. You know, like he needs to, talk to me different. You know, I don't want it. You go do what you want to do with your fight now. I don't want the fight no more. I don't need it. So once he did that, the Turk Alalshikh is not only in boxing, he's financing some of this UFC. In Las Vegas at the Sphere, he is sponsoring and putting together the UFC event to open up the Sphere, the first UFC fight at the Sphere in Las Vegas. And here we go. And guess what date that's on? September the 14th. The UFC fight. That's what Canelo's going up against. Normally this wouldn't have been a big thing. But the Turk Alalshikh is behind it. So do you think he's not going to spend any expense to try to F up Canelo's fight with Berlanga? Oh, he will. He has billions. Billions. He got that oil money. That old money. You can't you can't battle that. Canelo thinks he's got the name recognition power. Yeah, that ain't gonna hold weight with with the Sheik. He got power. You got some money. He's got money and power. Endless amount of money. You think they respect him because they really got respect for him? No, he has an ego too. That's why they like to pet up and stroke him. You see Oscar come around him. Hey, my friend. No, Oscar's for the relish in this because Oscar knows how to kiss the ring. Canelo doesn't. His arrogance is up there. I got my own company now, and it's about me. This arrogance is blinding him to what the real fight would be. If you want to fight with this Sheik, he will make it a living hell for all your promotions. He will make it bad for you. And now he says, I don't want nothing to do with Canelo anymore. That's it. So you're making the wrong enemies in the sport. Because the Sheik didn't like the way you told the price of 150 million publicly. He didn't like you did that at all. He thought that this was confidential between you and him, and he's thinking that you're trying to sabotage him with his other, negotiations. So therefore, he says, I don't want anything to do with him. We're moving on past Canelo. That's it. I don't want the fight no more. That means you're out. You're completely out right now. Now, the way I look at it is this. As I often say, Floyd Mayweather is Floyd Mayweather, and it's going to be Floyd Mayweather. So his fight he's got with Gotti, it's an exhibition fight, okay? They're going to be going at it tooth and nail. The fight's going to be a draw no matter what. It's for money and it's for attention, and Floyd is not broke. It's just something he does for exhibition. It helps bring attention to whatever he's doing. I mean, Floyd got too much to be broke. If Floyd was broke, he could sell half of his houses, half of his cars, and have millions. This dude has ownerships in skyscrapers, building prospects in other countries. The fact that most of these clowns don't even know all this, but are all the way vested into it just shows you the type of people you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who just don't know. And unfortunately for boxing, the mainstream media don't cover it. So the people that have kept boxing alive has been the internet. The internet media, which means that any Joe Blow off the couch can jump up and get media credentials and everything. They haven't had any journalistic integrity, background, or anything. All of this whatsoever. They're fans. So the fact that you have a fan, whoever they're a fan of, they're gonna run in there. Like they're a fan of boxing, they're a fan of the sport, but they're fans, period. And they have their favorites. And they're gonna write these puff pieces and say this and that. Well, it's not gonna end well for the rest of those guys because when you start getting engaged with when you start getting engaged with what's happening out here and you started to see all of the people that are vested into like these divisions, this has been some of the worst eras of boxing in a long time. And the reason why it's the worst is because the divisions are not flushed out. You're not seeing what you should be seeing. You're not getting the fights. You're not getting the actual notifications of the smaller fights. We're not even getting that promoted to us the way we should. The promotional companies don't have the money anymore. I remember we used to go out to the boxing events, and they used to have boxing events here. We hardly have had a boxing fight here in I don't know how long. You know, you see more amateur fights than you see anything else in the world. So when you come here, it's just completely different. None of this is going to make a hill of beans to anybody. No one's going to really care at the end of the day. The casuals are only going to be concerned with big name fights. So to them, Benavidez is a name that they know because they hear about it a lot. And everybody's saying, why don't Canelo fight Benavidez? So they're going to build that up to be Canelo's big fight. So the only big weight class there is the 147 pound division. Bivol and Beterbiev, that's a mega fight for the boxing fans. But for the casual fan, the name holds no weight. He beat Canelo, but they don't even remember. So it's often going to be different scenarios that grasp everyone's attention. Everyone else would have to everyone else will have to get into a simulation. And society will put it there. So just let that sink in. I mean, I tried to tell people, but they'll get it on their own. So, I mean, we're caught up right now on boxing, and this is the weird thing. People ask me for boxing videos, then I make them, and they don't watch. So that's what normally gets me.
Assuming you don't get a rematch for a second. You know I ain't getting a rematch, man. This is boxing. Boxing is full of shit, man. I used to love this sport, man. I can't understand doing this. The only reason I do this is because it gives me a good payday. Boxing is full of shit.
So that's the rundown. And I'll be back later. Shouts out to everybody in Boxing 78 Sports TV, Boxing Socialist, Sean Craddock. We have, Blood Boxing still doing it. Strike Hards, D-Style Boxing, everybody in boxing, man. I'm out. K9 Boxing, shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bust Life. And I'm out, man.